Okay, alright, so this will be fun. Hello everybody. I apologize, I think it's been a hot minute, right? Actually, I'll fix it in post. Anyway, hello everybody. Been 10 days as of recording this. It's actually 2:40 a.m. I just recorded some Rogue Legacy 2. Thought it'd be pretty cool to just take this opportunity to record some videos, because right now actually I am in a mess of a room, because I've been packing to go back home, because I just finished school. I just wrote my exams and everything, which I'll talk about later. I'll talk about I think I'll talk about all this stuff in another video, because there's a lot of stuff I can complain about, but I don't want to make videos about such broad topics, because if I start going into like political science about what that actually truly means, and how like I think some stereotypes people have about it when they go into the course versus when you're actually in the course, I think they're two very different things, and the things you learn, I think they're pretty. It's awesome. I'll just say that. Anyway, uh, let's see. What did I have to talk about? Okay, I think I'll start this video off by thanking a good friend of mine, Gray Smith. Um, I don't think he cares if I use his real name, but I think his response on the last video was awesome. He told me to upload more because he really likes these videos, and it's like ASMR. I'm glad I have that kind of soft voice, right? And this is just my natural voice. I don't like being too loud, because the second I become too loud, it starts straining my throat. Don't talk all that much, but I did want to talk about his comment, because he does make some really, really good points. It was a great comment. So he says, I agree with the fact that the virus left many alone to deal with their own thoughts, and I'd even say that at the given time allowed people to better know themselves. So I'll take this part, right? I believe this virus, while it has affected a lot of people negatively, it has also allowed people to look back on themselves. And I think if you took this time to look back on yourselves, and you weren't, and your mind wasn't focused on the pandemic, what you couldn't do, and instead now what you could do, I think that it may have changed your character a lot, which I think is why this pandemic was much easier for people who are introverts, people who thrive in an environment that is primarily their own space, right? Like I love just chilling in my room. I don't like going out. Every now and then I do. I love going out, right? Like I love seeing the sun. I love swimming. Can do a lot of that this summer, I hope. But generally, I think I've grown more as a person throughout this pandemic than I have through my entire life. And of course, there's another argument to say about that, which is, well, when the pandemic started, it was my birthday actually. When it came here, I was turning 18, and I was going into adulthood, right? So I was getting a full-time job. I was applying for universities. There was a lot of big decisions to make. But I think having this time to slow down and think about my life, because at the time everything was moving so fast, I had little time. I had a few months, which generally sounds like a lot of time, but when you're actually in the moment, your brain is so riddled with decisions and choices that you can make in your life that it really isn't a lot of time. It doesn't give you that much time to think, especially if you're still going out every day and for up to 16 hours or up to 14 hours, I guess, a day, where you're just not home and you're not able to think about your future. And then the other 8 hours you're sleeping, right? You don't have that much time. You maybe have an hour to sit back, to really sit back and think about it. But I think with the pandemic, where instead I'm just sitting here and I'm allowed to do my work from home, allowed to do my school from home, or from my dorm room at least. It has given me a huge opportunity to sit back and think about, okay, what can I fix? How can I use this time to better improve myself? And one of the ways is recording these videos. Of course I've recorded videos in the past. You might not see them because they might be unlisted now, but I don't think like, I can't speak in front of a therapist the same way I can speak in a YouTube video, you know? It, it feels so much more engaging when I do it this way because I'm talking to people who've gone through the same thing. And I'm not here to say that the therapists haven't gone through this, because of course everybody has gone through this, but there are people more tuned to my like age, I guess. There's a lot more people that I can connect with on a much more personal scale, instead of feeling like I'm simply talking to someone who I'm paying to complain to. So I think for myself, this pandemic has been incredible. It has given me so much time to think. I've really gotten to sit back and enjoy the finer things, and I don't mean, like, I wasn't sitting there buying a bunch of stuff because I was making that, pandemic money, the extra dollar an hour, whatever it was for the beginning. I mean, I got to sit back and I got to appreciate the things that I may not have appreciated before. I really, I think I've learned gratitude much more, right? I'm a lot more thankful for what I have. I I'm not going about my day just not looking up at the sky. I'm not staring down. I'm really taking in my surroundings. You know, I think that's awesome. But then he also says, in the U.S., I saw a massive change in the amount of people who go out. My once big town changed to a quiet life to a degree, and that has been massive. I believe once the fear of the pandemic is run its course, which of course will take a few years, right? Because this has been such a big event in history, and it just keeps on getting worse. And I know people, okay, in Canada, the mask mandate has been dropped. You don't have to wear a mask unless you're in close quarters, I think. So I don't have to wear it to a restaurant. I don't have to wear it at Walmart. But in these private institutions like Acadia University, where I'm going to, you still have to wear masks. People much prefer if you use a mask in these academic uh, environments. And I think all over the world, people still prefer that you use a mask because it's such a strange thing, right? Why would you? The pandemic's not over. Like there's still a bunch of issues that are being brought up every single day. There's a bunch of disasters that are being brought up every single day, which I want to talk about because as a poli-sci student, political science, I think these last 2 years have been littered with this content that we love to examine on a closer basis. We love to check out the mindset behind why this is happening. Why are people behaving in these ways? It's super interesting. I think that's one huge reason why I like political science, because you don't look at things like elections. You don't primarily focus on stuff like the invasion, like the Ukraine invasion. Like it's a huge scope of things, and I'm going to talk about political science in another episode because I love it. But going back to what you said, I saw the same in Canada. There was a huge change. Beforehand, it was busy every day. When I would drive to work, it'd be like 20 minutes because I would drive to middle of nowhere basically to work in a warehouse, right? And I loved my job. It was awesome. A lot of people don't like it because it's too hard on the body, which I completely understand. But I think I really enjoyed it. But the streets were dead. And now, one thing I think I don't like is that people, I think, are just scared to go for walks now, right? Which I think is a problem. I don't think people should take the pandemic as locking yourself in your house. I think people should take the pandemic as not going to these crowded spaces and enjoying more of what nature has around you. Don't be going outside expecting to go to a store, expecting to go to a park. Actually, a park is a nice place, but don't be expecting like huge parties in these big buildings. I think what we should take away from this is that our life is short. It really is. Like, even if you lived 80 years, you might still not be happy. There might be things that you've wanted to do that you just don't think you've got to do, which is super unfortunate. I think one of the biggest things I've learned is you have to be happy with what you've done in life. You've gotta ensure that you you don't have to make a significant mark on the world. You don't have to come up with the cure for cancer. You don't have to solve world peace, world hunger. You don't have to do any of this. You can be a tiny part of it, right? You can petition. You can go into protests maybe against the government. You can do these petitions, and that will hopefully have an impact on how the government itself thinks about our own life. But it's nothing huge, You can do something as little as make your significant other feel better, Like, it doesn't have to be a major change. It's just you can make one person's life better, even for a year, even for 2 years. That goes a long way, because those 2 years of their life, those 6 months of your life, their life, that you made them feel better, as long as you're not a dick about it, you break up on good terms, or you like my little brother, for example. I would like to leave this earth knowing I made his life a little bit better, Or my girlfriend, I'd like to leave this earth knowing that even if we do break up, that I've given her the best 4 years I possibly could have, And I think one part of the problem is that people hold a grudge. It's a huge issue. People hold a grudge on these events. It's so strange. It's the sort of thing where people are like, "You broke my heart. I'll never trust you again," unless they cheated on you, and if they just don't feel that chemistry with you anymore, and they just want to move on to further things in life where they feel like they do not want to bring you down with them, I would say just let it go, right? That's a very important thing in life. You have to learn to let things go. Be thankful for what you had, but don't hang up on it, right? Just be like, this was an awesome time. I had an amazing time, but now it's time for me to move on. I think that's. So I think if you think about the implications of that, as well as what you did have and what you did enjoy, that it could make your life so much better. This is one big thing about these videos that I enjoy. I can't sit back and have a comfortable conversation with anybody about these things. Right? I can't just rant for 30 minutes because I feel really weird for doing so. But I've put myself in front of a recording booth. I put myself in front of a microphone, give myself 30-35 minutes, and I just start ranting about stuff that may not seem super important, but it's always the little things that are super important, right? Anyway, but yeah, there's definitely been a huge change of people who go out, which is unfortunate, right? I think it's good that there are less people crowding these areas that are already so little and so small. However, I think there should definitely be an increase in the people who enjoy their surroundings, because I think that'll also give people huge insight into the world they're trying to save, right? Because, of course, the world around us is dying because of the way we live as humans, as a society. Um, it's unfortunate. So I think this can be a huge opportunity for people to just go out and start enjoying life. That's what I want to do, right? Even though I'm trying to work 2 jobs at once, I still want to enjoy life. On my days off, I don't want to sit there and mope. I wanna get up. I want to go swimming. I want to walk around the park. Because even though my body may not be feeling the best and I might just be burnt out and tired, that those 2 hours in nature can make me feel fantastic, right? And I think that's the most important part, is that you enjoy your surrounding for what it is while you can, because there's a possibility that you may go your entire life without properly admiring the nature around you, right? And I think that's a huge obstacle, right? I'm going off track now, but I'll cover that in another episode. I would love to take a deep dive into that, because that pretty much surrounds itself in my profession of political science, because of how we choose to live amongst one each other, and the things that we can do to stop this such massive climate change from happening, right? Anyway, I'm going to focus on political science, but in a different viewpoint. Instead, I'm going to focus on education as a whole. And we're 17 minutes now, and I'm just getting into the video, but don't worry. Still got like 17 minutes to go. And I'm still being really quiet, because, of course, it's 3 in the morning now, and I'm in a dorm room. I don't want to be too loud. But anyway, super stoked to hear. I love conversations. I love, even if I get more than one comment on a video, I'm going to try and respond to all of them. This may make my videos longer, it all depends. I also want to diversify what you're watching, so that every time you come here, you're not just staring at Elden Ring, you're not just listening to my voice, Maybe we'll do some videos where I'm playing, like, I think the next one I wanted to play, I can't remember, Bloons TD. I might just record, like, do a recording of my thoughts on the spot while I'm playing Bloons, because it's not like Elden Ring or Rogue Legacy 2 where I have to focus so in depth. I can play that casually and just let my brain spew thoughts however I want. Anyway, thank you for so much for your comments, Jordan. I appreciate it a lot. Even the one view and the one comment on the video gave me the motivation to get up at 3 in the morning after sleeping for 6-7 hours and record a video, right? So I appreciate it. Anyway, the effects of the pandemic on education as a whole, and the implications on students. And I know not everybody has been a student over this pandemic, right? I think it's affected people differently, right? Like, I'm not going to look at a high school student's perspective on the same way that I'm going to look at my perspective, because I know from the beginning of the pandemic that it was massive. There was a huge difference in the way these people may have viewed it, because I'm paying a lot of money to be here, and in high school you don't really have to worry about that. So there's that. There's a lot of financial loss, and I would like to complain specifically about my university. This is in no way, I'm not telling you do not go to Acadia, right? I love this place. Like, truthfully, the professors here, fantastic. The environment is beautiful. The scenery around me, it's drop dead gorgeous. Like, if I just looked out of my window when I wake up and take a picture every day, it's beautiful. I would never get sick of it. I never do get sick of it. I love opening my windows and just sitting there and being able to do all of my work from here. The school itself and the environment is absolutely incredible. If you ever have an opportunity to go to Acadia University, I would take it. Because you don't have the huge hustle and bustle. I guess there's not as much traffic, human-wise and vehicle-wise, of people in, let's say, St. Mary's University, Dalhousie University, both incredible institutions, of course, academic institutions. However, I think if you're looking for a more quiet life, especially if you're more of an introvert, if you like nature, you like walking around, and you don't have to worry so much about being crowded just by random people that you don't know, I think Acadia is a beautiful place, especially. Anyway, they had to strike. This impacted me financially massively in several ways. I didn't take a job during the winter break, which may not seem like an issue, but when you're making grand every 2 weeks and you're not going to school for those 3 months because you have no idea, there's no confirmation, there's no warning, I would just have to quit basically on the spot, which would be super unfortunate. I did not want to do that. But as it got on, I just started regretting more and more because I started losing. I think I lost up to $7,000. And if you want to add in the financial loss through my investments that I could have made and didn't make, I'd like to think that I've lost about $10,000. As well as just the $1,000 or so that I didn't get back, right? Because you have the month of not going to school, the 2 weeks of just the abyss, I guess, the unknown nature of not knowing if your school's going to go on strike, if you're going to have in-person classes, whether or not your professors would be flexible to have you online if you're terrified of the pandemic, right? Which is another huge thing. As a professor, I'd like to think these people are paying to see you, which, you teach the course how you want. That's what makes university so intriguing. You're never going to get the same teaching experience from the same person, which in high school might not sound super different, but they all have the same sort of formulaic idea of teaching a class. But in university, you go in and it could be vastly different. You could basically make friends with your professor because a lot of them are just so intriguing. They've made so many huge impacts on their field of research, and you can see it. You can see their love for their own passion as you talk to them, which I think is fantastic. I love it. However, there are also some that are a little bit weary than others. You just have to take that. You have to take the good with the bad. You can't always be expecting the most fantastic of teachers or of experiences, but it is what it is. But I think how the professors handled this pandemic, how they handled the strike, gives a huge detail on how they expect their teaching to go. Like, some people didn't integrate onto Microsoft Teams properly, which is a million times easier than Zoom. So much easier to just get a word across. By the way, I just want to, I'm sorry, I just wanted to take this time and appreciating the second try estuary Lamex. That's very cool, very cool. I'm super stoked. Anyway, I think it gives a huge insight on what the course you're about to take is, and you'll basically know immediately in the first 2 weeks if you're going to enjoy that course or not. Based on your opinions on teaching style. I didn't enjoy mine because she wasn't as flexible. It still appeared as if she was stuck in the past, right? As if she was stuck between a pre-COVID time, which is totally fine. If you want to be that way, I'm not going to, hate on you too much for it. But at the same time, you have to learn how to adapt to modern ages, especially as a political science. teacher, because professor, because it's changing all the time. But I didn't like it. I think she just had some really bad takes. And I'm generally an agreeable guy, right? Like I don't like to make conflict. I like to see the good in everybody. However, this was a little too much, But I do sympathize for her because she's Ukrainian and this has impacted her family, like the recent events. So I didn't hold her up to a pedestal, right? Everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. As a human being, a general human being, I believe she's an amazing person. I'm not gonna shit on her, but I believe her academic teaching style is flawed. Especially in recent times. The content you're gonna be covering, the potential for all of this stuff to make into some really incredible essays, I think is there, but I don't think it's exploited well, I suppose. I don't believe it. I don't believe there's a proper chance to just sit back and relax and ponder about all these things, because you've got like the truckers convoy, you've got the pandemic, the Omicron virus, and all the implications that had. And then you've got the strike, which lasted for a month, which ended in arbitration, right? There's nothing. There's nothing more that a political science student could wish for, right? Of course, this is less than ideal, right? We'd rather be in school. That was a rough death, but we can't be because of all these modern issues, which is fantastic. Truthfully, it's fantastic. I've no issues whatsoever. No, but it's the way you interpret your life around you and the way that you teach in the first 2 weeks. To any teachers, if you're watching, I highly doubt it. You've got to make the first month, I'd say, or the first few weeks, if you can't do the month, the best experience. Right? You've got to show what you're there for. You've got to show your teaching style in the first week, the very first day. You've got to explain how this will go. You've got to explain your boundaries. You've got to explain what you're expecting, which a lot of people do, but they don't go into their teaching styles because I don't think it's something people think about all, but it's very important. Very important. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Virus online support, how can be improved upon? Oh, right, how can be improved upon. Okay. So, the online support is massive for pretty much all of my courses, except 2. You had the opportunity of taking it online. 3 of them, actually, you had no choice. You had to take it online because the professors didn't want to endanger their students. But then there are also the other sides of the coin where you can only attend in-person lessons, which I think is questionable. I think you should have the choice of not attending if you just don't want to. It's not that difficult to just put a camera in front of you and talk, especially if you're already in a class full of people. Just record a file, press record, and then just upload it to Acorn, whatever academic site you're using for your students. It's really not that difficult, you can just do it. I understand that there may be some technological issues centering around this, but not only when you give an online recording that you have your own voice and your own opinions as a professor and your own little tidbits and tricks of what the topic you're covering, but also you get the voices of the other students, you get their other opinions, you get your response on their specific questions that may not be asked if you just stare at some slides, And I think the insight that a professor can give you on the topic is a lot more important than the provided in their slides, right? Because not every class is the same, right? People, like, you'll go into, I decided to try this out, right? Because there's 2 psychology courses, both of them are online. I can attend both of them. And he says not vastly different things, but he says different little things that make you wonder in different ways, So in one recording, he may give this one tidbit that makes you go, oh, that's awesome. But then in another recording, he may give you another tidbit on the same situation that gives you 2 lenses to look at it from. So maybe if you didn't like this one lens, you can stare it from the other, or maybe you can compare and contrast the ideas and why you didn't like this one, why this one works, and put into practice whatever. But I think it can be improved upon by just sitting in the class, hitting that record button, and putting it online, wherever you may be, right? I don't know. Either way, I believe that's pretty much all the time I have for today. Got a few other, I think I got like a minute or 2 left, so I'll take this time to just speaking about, I guess, how it can be improved upon in some very quick ways, right? Just record it so that you get the opinions of students as well as yourself in the moment, so that when maybe a student who can't make it because they've got COVID, maybe they have they just have issues, like they have social issues in their own dependent lives that make it so that they cannot take the risk of attending class, or maybe they're just not feeling good that day, so they want to sit back and relax. They don't want to have to get up, run all the way down the hill to attend the courses, right? And it may seem like such a little thing. It may seem like such a little tidbit where you're like, well, it doesn't matter if I record it or not. I just post the slides on there. But the way a student interprets that can be severely changed depending on what you say in that moment. I believe that's super important. But thank you. Thank you so much for listening to my mindless ramblings. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Have a great week. Have a fantastic summer, everybody. I'm going to try and upload more because I've got a lot to talk about. But yeah, thank you so much. Peace.